Welcome, everybody. I'm JD, along with my good buddy Gail here. Gail, of course. You can find us on Facebook under Every Bit Matters. Just search under Every Bit Matters, because right now it will, and in the future it will. You can find us on YouTube under Gail, of course, under BitTube under Gail, of course. So check us out. We'd appreciate all the new subscribers we get. We've had a few viewers from Norway, and let's get on with the show. It's Sunday night. We really don't have anything coming, but Gail has news here about what happened to Ukraine. Take it away, Gail.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for that great introduction. Oh,
Okay.
and it's Gale Force Creations on YouTube.
Oh, is that what? Okay. Creations. Okay, that works.
Yeah, it's Gale Force on BitTube and Gale Force Creations on YouTube.
Yeah, I think Gale Force is already taken out of you. Gale Force.
Right. Yes. Okay. The hot news today is that the country of Ukraine got to bumping elbows with some Russian vessels and tried playing chicken with them, and they got too close and almost crashed their ship into the Russians, and they opened fire with a bunch of machine gun fire and took a bunch of the sailors, captured them and seized the ships out there because they claim it was in Russian territorial waters.
This just happened today.
That's what it's. Yep, it just happened today, and of course, the president of Ukraine, he's trying to declare martial law, and Russia wants to try and involve the UN Security Council so that it doesn't turn into war. But somebody's trying awful hard.
You know, and I find it interesting that most wars are caused because of economic problems, and in order to solve these economic problems, they start these wars. And you know, the bankers, you know, we know have a lot to do with it, and the banks, and of course the governments do too. But since most of the governments are run basically by central banks and the bankers themselves, I can see that there might be a future problem with the economy with this happening in the Ukraine. This could be the start of big. Is it we're trying to get to? Is this your conspiracy?
Well, it could lead to it. You know, you and I think that the world economy is in trouble. And when governments and banks are in trouble, you know, there's the stuff about Monte dei Paschi in Italy, and there's Deutsche Bank in Germany, and there's some Spanish banks and some French banks are all in trouble. And the United States, with the Federal Reserve, has been trying to bump up interest rates.
Oh, that's going to hurt.
Well, and there's just so much going on that banks and the big people like the Rothschilds and people like that, they don't want a flashlight on them. If they need to hyperinflate the world economy, they're going to have to crash it or hyperinflate it. And if they get a war going, they could hyperinflate it and blame it all on the Russians, blame it all on a war.
Okay.
I mean, how much money have we spent in Iraq and Afghanistan since 2001?
You know, an immense amount of money. And I read just the other day, and I never realized this, but we have over 800 military bases. Now that to me is just incredible. 800 million. Not 800 million. 800 military bases around the world.
Yes.
And just the money it takes is incredible. And why do we need 800 military bases around the world? You know.
You want a conspiracy?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Because if we have military bases in all these countries, we have a military to back the world reserve currency. Oh, wait a minute. What's the world reserve currency? The US dollar. So they can launder money through those countries, but then we've also got armed troops in all these countries to enforce the SWIFT system and things like that.
Yeah, what I find surprising is why would China and Russia build their countries so close to our military bases. I don't understand that. You think they would keep their countries away from our bases? It just, to me, it doesn't make sense. And almost half of our tax dollars go to all these military bases.
Yes.
Imagine if we brought all our guys back and closed all these bases and let these countries just work it out themselves. We would be in fantastic shape. But we're really, really prepared. Right?
Absolutely.
Our debt is so high, our consumer debt is so high, our corporate debt is so high, the government debt is so high. And like you said, one way to reset it, have some kind of war. That takes the mindset of the people off of the economy when it goes insolvent. And we can blame it on somebody else. And it looks like that might be what's coming up. Something is going to set us off that fire match, and all of a sudden all hell's going to break loose, and that's when the economy is going to go to hell.
Right. And what they can do is they can wash out some bad debt in these and we can send some of our debt to some of these other countries.
Yep.
Wash it out, get it off their books.
Yep.
Inflate things and blame it on somebody else.
Yeah, and real quick, what people don't realize what inflation is, just to give a quick economic lesson here, because I'm into economics and politics. I don't know why, but it just affects me sometimes. But a lot of people think that inflation is caused by capitalism, and that it costs more to produce something because the company wants to make more profit. But what inflation actually is the devaluation of our dollar. Our dollar is worth less. They print more money, to help out these banks, to bail out all these big banks and everything. That's what causes inflation. That's what causes the prices to rise. And like we said in previous shows,
right.
the same amount of silver today will buy you the same amount of gas today as it did 40 years ago. So it's not the price of the product going up, it's the value of your dollar. It takes more of our dollars to buy. And that's what's going to happen soon. Soon we're going to have what's called deflation, where everything is going to go really, really cheap, and everybody's going to buy into everything and buy a bunch of stuff. Then all of a sudden, it goes straight to hyperinflation, where everything costs so much that everybody that bought into it is just going to lose their shirt.
By printing more money, you still have the same demand for the same amount of food and the same amount of cars, the same amount of clothes. But the more money is in the hands, that means you've got more money chasing the same amount of hard goods, products, and stuff like that. It's like going to a doggone auction and people get caught up bidding and they wind up paying more money for something that they could have bought brand new at Walmart.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because people are out, it's too much money chasing too few products.
Yeah, and another statistic I saw, which I thought was amazing, is it's a little $1 billion a year or whatever much produce, but the amount of dollars in circulation is over $1.5 trillion of actual dollars in circulation. But estimates that right now that I read is like 60% of our money spent of US dollars are not in the United States. They're in other countries. Like
Yes.
most of our money is not here. It's somewhere else.
Right. And
And
for cash, 10% or less than 10% is actually in printed money. It's all ones and zeros on computers.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, most of our money. So people talk about the digital currency, the Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they say that's all just money. But you go to a bank, and there's no there's a vault there. There's no vault with your name on it, and when you deposit the money, your dollars don't go into your box. They just change it on a computer. It's a digital, couple ones and zeros. It's been digital for the last 30, 40 years.
Absolutely. Years ago, before computers, you went into a bank and they actually had cash in the bank. They had silver and gold in the bank. And when you went into a bank and deposited, like say in a savings account, they had a passbook and they'd write it in there, stamp it, and initial it. So you had a ledger of what you had in there.
Yeah, computers, it was actually there.
Yes.
Yeah, but now it's not, because since 1913, it's fractional reserve bank.
Correct.
Where that money, they just create money out of thin air. And if me and you try to create money out of thin air, we'd be thrown in jail for counterfeit. But the Fed, which is not a government agency, that the Fed is a private company, and they print 24 hours a day, $100 bills are just printed out. Well, they're the only company allowed to print money, and they do it 24 hours a day. Yet, if you and I tried to do that, we'd be in jail.
Right.
Yeah, it's scary. And now what you're happening in the Ukraine, and that's a little scary because, as we talked earlier, China and Russia is really mad at the United States because they hate the dollar being the reserve currency.
Correct.
Pretty soon, the dollar is not going to be the reserve currency. It's going to be heavy metals. It's going to be gold. Russia and China right now are buying up so much gold. They're covering their ass. And most of it's coming from us because we used to store it. We were, Fort Knox is where all money in the World Trade Center is where we kept all the gold for everybody. But most of that gold is probably gone. We probably have very little gold here in the States. All the countries want their gold back. It's happening every day. More and more countries want their gold back. They know something's happening, and it's going to come to fruition pretty soon. Something bad is going to happen, and it's going to hurt everybody, and it's probably going to hit the rich worse than.
Yeah. Well, the other day you were talking about how Australia, about their housing market and stuff. Well, there was another small one that I came across is the LBMA or whatever it is in London is holding bullion for Australia. And they want some of their bullion back. What do you want it for? What are you going to do with it?
Yeah, we're safeguarding it for you. We'll need it.
Yeah, why do you need it? We've got it here. It's here. What do you need to use it for? Why do you want it? It's theirs and they want it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like if I had a brand new lawnmower and you borrowed it and I told, hey, Dwayne, I want my lawnmower back. Do you need it? What are you going to do with it?
Yeah,
well,
it's
mine.
Yeah, it's mine. They want it for a reason. They want it because something is brewing and it's not looking good.
It won't pass the smell test, as the saying goes. And
You know,
And everybody said, well, what's the deal with the Ukraine? I got to digging in what the Ukraine's about.
okay, let's hear it.
Okay, so oil and natural gas pipelines are going into Europe, and they happen to go through part of the Ukraine.
Okay.
People say, oh, no. Okay. Well, the largest petrochemical company in the Ukraine, I can't remember the exact name, but on the board of directors, one of the guys' name is R. Hunter Biden. And yes, he is related to the ex-vice president. Another one on there, okay, what's his name? Yeah, it does. Mr. Swiftboat, what's his name? John Kerry.
Yeah, Kerry.
One of his wife's cousins is also on the board of directors of this place in the Ukraine.
And a lot of people don't know, like you said, the Ukraine produces.
Well, no, a lot of it's coming from everywhere, but the pipelines are going through the Ukraine into Europe, like out of Libya and Syria, and all the oil and stuff is run up through Turkey and the Ukraine and stuff into Europe.
Yeah, and Europe. Don't mind the dogs there. They're enjoying the show right now. Take it easy. That's what makes the show exciting. You never know what's going to happen.
It's real. It's live.
Europe depends on these pipelines because that's where they get their fuel from. Because they have no natural resources of themselves except for manual labor.
Yes.
They require these pipelines. And if Russia really wanted to play dirty, they could turn off the pipelines, and Europe would be.
Well, no, see, that's another pipeline. The pipeline going through in northern part of Europe comes. Well,
No, you're still there.
The United States is trying to sell liquefied natural gas. They've built hundreds of ships with these huge basketball-looking things on the deck, and it's.
That's what they keep the natural gas in.
The liquefied natural gas to keep the homes heated in Europe. And Russia and the rest of them have been trying to undercut us for price. Germany's in a pinch for money from all the stuff going on there. So Merkel's trying to make deals with Putin and stuff, and all these things. They're trying to cut it down and stop it. And everybody said, well, this and that. Okay. Russia is a sovereign nation. They have been an ally in 2 wars.
Okay.
Let's see. But we've got military bases and do military drills within 100 miles of their border.
I imagine they love that too.
But what happens if Russia puts missiles 90 miles from Key West?
I just read a story about that they're going to move a couple more missiles down to the Cuba area, which is kind of scary because Cuba is falling apart. They haven't done any kind of anything on their infrastructure there, and now they're going to be keeping nuclear weapons there. That's not fair.
So we have got Bay of Pigs and the Cuban Missile Crisis all over again from 1962.
Yep. Yeah. So, something's happening. We don't know what. Again, we don't have our crystal ball. Mine's in the shop. It's been broken for a while. They're trying to fix it, but of course I can't get the parts because they're only made in China, and I'm having a hard time getting the parts.
Trump's trade embargo is what's doing that.
Yeah, yeah. But eventually, when we get my crystal ball back, we'll be able to see in the future and find out what's happening. Again, don't take any of our resources. There's websites out there to where you can get it. And Gail has a fantastic ability to find really great stories out there that I've been seeing, and he sends me all the time all the great stories that I start pulling up, and I'm like, wow, this is stuff you don't read about it. Like, I still haven't seen on the mainstream news gas riots. Are they still happening in Europe?
Yes, even more so. There last night. Saturday was Saturday night was even bloodier than it was for several days. It's getting really bad over there.
I can't quite remember because I was young at the time, but I remember in the 70s we had the gas line and people, your license plate with an odd number, you could be on a certain day. At least we didn't have riots about gas prices, but there have been full-fledged riots in the streets, in the main streets of Paris.
Paris, if you get some of the pictures I just saw a little while ago, it's ugly.
Yeah, and it's not because of the price of the commodity itself. It's not the price of gas that they're fighting about. It's because they're raising the tax on it.
Right.
The government needs more money. Governments are running out of money. So something has to happen. When governments run out of money, they find some way to get the people's mind off it. I was watching a couple of the episodes of The History of Money by Mike Malone, I believe his name is.
Mm-hmm.
A great series on the history of money, and he just released 2 new videos on how the Greek society, Greece used to be the biggest empire in the world. How they went down because they overspent on their military. What's happening here? We're overspending on our military, seeing the value of the money, and that's what's happening now. We're debasing the value of our money, and it's happening everywhere. Even in Venezuela, nobody wants to take their money because it's worthless.
Right.
They've gone to the digital currency, the Bitcoin and the Litecoin and stuff like that. So we'll be reading more about that soon. So imagine what would happen here if you wake up one day and find out you can't buy anything with your dollar. It's gonna be worthless.
It's not just the Greek Empire, and you get to reading all those things. The Roman Empire, it also collapsed for the same thing. What the Romans, what they did is, towards the end of their rule and their reign, they tried to be very benevolent, and they gave all their soldiers, if you made it 20 years, you could retire, full wages, and health care. What's that sound like? Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have more and more people getting full wages in retirement and free health care, it bankrupted the system. And like you said, they took the Roman silver coin and started putting other things into it. When it first started out, it was they had a 1 ounce and a half ounce coin, and a tenth of an ounce coin, and stuff like that. But they started putting other metals in it, debasing the currency.
That was a great thing about our founding fathers when they wrote the Constitution. There's like 1 or 2 sentences about the coinage should only be gold and silver. If we would have kept with that, we'd be in a fine situation. And as soon as they instituted the Breckenridge or whatever.
Oh, the Bretton Woods thing.
Bretton Woods thing in 1913. The Federal Reserve, everything up, and how our money is it's not even People excited about.
Right. The only difference between a $1 bill and a $100 bill is the ink on it.
Is the ink on it. Yep.
And the difference between a half-ounce coin of gold or silver and a 1-ounce coin of gold or silver is the weight. Where paper is paper, and all paper burns.
Yeah. And that's what's going to happen. And hearing this news about what's happening in the Ukraine is kind of a little scary. I on that now. You know, every time I talk to you, it's like, oh man, now I got to do some more research to find out what's going on here. We're worried about the money we're spending in Afghanistan, and look, you know, we've been fighting that war for what, 18 years, and
yes,
and we spent all this money there in a useless country. You know, Afghanistan has no natural resources except for what, the pop. I mean, you know,
for
drugs.
for drugs. Okay, now let's look about this. Now the Russians, they're a long-suffering people, but that doesn't make them stupid. If Afghanistan bankrupted Russia and they left and let us walk in there, they're laughing all the way to the bank because they're not pouring billions of dollars a year into a rat hole, but we are.
Yeah, they tried that and it didn't work. And now here we are trying to do the same thing and it's not working for us. And why are we doing it? You know, we already got Bin Laden. So if we got Bin Laden, why are we there?
Right.
Why don't we just bring our guys home?
Right.
And spend the money here and take care of all.
You know, like you said, I'm all time sending you articles. I sent you the article about the fires out in California, and I've been telling you all these other ones. And what did you just tell me that you finally saw?
Yep. Hang on a second. We got the NSA. Interrupt.
Okay.
No, we're back.
About Fukushima. And you'd forgot all about it. Most people have forgot about that 7 years ago, Fukushima happened. And there's still pollution being put into the Pacific Ocean every single day. But you don't hear.
Well, actually, it was on 6 Minutes earlier today. I sent a note about it. They did a quick list, like a 10-minute segment on Fukushima, and they think they're going to be there for decades.
Yes.
They still have no idea where the fuel is.
And they can't put robots in there because there's so much radiation that it tears up the robots.
Yeah, and they're only 100 yards from the ocean, and that is a natural disaster that they don't know if they're going to be able to clean up or not. You know?
But for right now, the northern Pacific Ocean is almost dead. If you get one more tsunami that finishes off Fukushima, the whole Pacific Ocean is dead.
Yeah, and that would really, that it would hurt us. Japan, they depend on fish. That's pretty much what they live off. They live off the ocean. If the ocean around them dies, Japan dies. Japan has to import everything. They have no natural resources. They import everything except for food. They have the ocean right there, and if they can't get their own food, what happens then? Japan's been in a recession for 30 years. 30 years?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a scary
situation. If the Pacific Ocean's halfway dying, where are the Japanese trying to get their food? Oh! Think that's part of what the fight's going on in the South China Sea? Because the Japanese are there fishing in the China Sea? And they're trying to tell everybody that it's about the Chinese building military bases. No, it's about the Japanese.
Yeah, they need food, and if you're gonna do anything, you go where the food is. And if the food's not around Japan, you go somewhere else.
Right. And what's the old saying? The Roman army travels on its stomach.
Exactly.
And if
Napoleon found that out the hard way.
Right. And east of Japan is the China Sea.
Yeah.
And I stumbled across an article and couldn't get much more off of it.
You're doing good. Don't worry about it. It's only NSA just watching us.
Okay, they're trying to go fishing in other people's waters, and there's all kinds of conflicts going on all the time.
Yeah. Real quick, we've been talking about, the Ukraine. We're talking about Europe and the gas riots in Paris. Real quick, let's talk about the caravan that's coming to the U.S. and all these illegal immigrants. I'm a big libertarian, and I think people ought to be able to travel where they want to travel. And I have no problem with people coming to this country, but when the Statue of Liberty was put up, and they have that saying there, "Bring us your poor, your
Huddled masses.
masses, or whatever." We didn't give them welfare. We welcomed them, but the idea behind America was you're more than welcome to come here, but you have to earn your own. What we're doing now, if you come here, we give you, a place to stay. We'll give you one of these, like a credit card, so you can get your food. That's why people are coming here, because they think they can get free stuff. I have no problem if we open the border up and say, look, you're more than welcome to come here, but you got to fend for yourself. You got to create your own job, and feed your own self. I don't think this law is a good idea. They're going to find some way around it, but the only way to solve it is we have to stop the welfare state. Again, this was one of the videos that I saw. This is the same thing that the Roman Empire tried. They had at one time, the Colosseum. The Colosseum was built not just to have football games like we have all our stadiums. What they would do is, if you came to the stadium, they would give you free food, free beer, and just come and have a good time. It would keep their mind off of where all the money was going and all the money was going into the military. And Eisenhower was right when he gave his farewell address. He said, you guys better watch out. The military complex is what's going to break this country. And that's what's happening right now. We spend way too much money. We're spending, billions of dollars on our defense, where other countries are spending tens of billions of dollars. We're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on defense, which we don't need to do. We have two oceans between, the people that hate us. Canada, they're our friends. They're pretty much all. And, we ought to be bringing our military home to protect our home state. Let the rest of the world go to hell, because the rest of the world is pretty much, I've done a little bit of traveling. I've traveled to countries that were nice to travel to, but there's some countries that really screwed up. And I think it's time that we bring our boys home, let these countries fight it out, because we need to now take our money and we need to protect our people, because we are one last refuge of freedom.
Right.
And I think this caravan, and you sent the interesting story about who is funding this caravan. We have
by George Soros.
Yeah, we have thousands of people coming this way, and they don't have any money themselves. So who's feeding? Who's giving them medical care? And the question I have is, why are they coming to the United States? If this, if they're teaching this in our colleges right now, democratic socialism, on how good it is,
right.
Why aren't they coming to Venezuela, Brazil, for a better country? I think if anybody ought to travel anywhere, they ought to go to Chile. Chile has one of the best economies in the world. They have a pension system that just blows our Social Security out of the water, because our Social Security is about to go under. So you have to wonder, why are they coming to the United States? I ask that to my liberal friends all the time. Why are they coming to the United States? And they keep telling me, well, because they want jobs. Well, there's a lot of people here that want jobs too.
Right. They're unskilled labor.
Yeah.
So unskilled labor are going to do nothing but push your wages down.
Exactly, and make it harder for the average American. Again, I'm not anti-immigrant. We are a country built on immigrants, but at the beginning, we had to. Our grandfathers and great grandfathers, they had to do their own living when they came here. They had to find a way to make the dollar, and nowadays they don't have to do that. They come here and we give them dollars. We give them a place to live. We give them free driver's license. They can vote in our elections even though they're not citizens. And I keep asking them, well, why are they here? And nobody can give me a good answer. It blows my mind out.
Yeah. The thing is all right, now I have no problem with legal immigration.
Exactly.
Because people in America are so naive, there's a lot of criminals sneaking through. They're going to be preying on the naive people.
And you read it all the time where an illegal alien has been deported 2 or 3, 4 or 5 times. They still make it back and they still commit more crimes.
Correct.
In their country, they committed a crime. They put away for quite a while, but all we do is we just send them back and then they just come back here and commit.
Right. So it's a mess.
Yeah, it's a big. The whole world. Something's going to blow here pretty soon. The fuse is going to pop. The circuit breaker is going to pop, and no telling what's going to happen. I read an internet. It wasn't an article. It's another video. Again, I think it was that Mike Maloney character. He said that the Great Depression was bad, but did you know in 1921 there was a depression that was 3 times worse than the Great Depression.
Right.
But it only lasted 18 months because the government didn't do nothing. They didn't do any bailouts. The government said, we're not going to do nothing. We're going to let the free market work it out. And all of a sudden, this happened in 1921, and it was 3 times worse than the Great Depression, but it only lasted 18 months because the government did nothing. But yet, when the Great Depression hit back in the late 20s and late 1929 and 1930, the government said, oh, this is really bad, and we better do something this time. This was before the Fed really had any balls to do anything. And the Fed says, well, we know what kind of happened in 1921, so we're going to put an end to it.
Right.
They made it worse. They made it last 10 years. Whereas if the free market was allowed to...
how did we get out of it at the end of that 10 years?
Yeah. Oh, by
Start
war.
Another war.
Start another war.
See, yeah. Andrew Hardy, I think his name was Andrew Hardy, was the president when that happened, and he was a free market person.
Yeah.
FDR was a progressive socialist, just like Woodrow Wilson.
Yeah. Yep.
And a lot of people realize during the Great Depression, like they like to call it, if you and I got together and we had a factory and started producing tires, the government set the price on the tires. True socialism was what FDR was about. And it actually happened in different companies. If you took and were efficient enough that you could sell your product and still make a profit and sell it at less than what the government price was, the government will come in and threaten you or shut you down because you were selling it at less than what they said it should sell at.
It's interesting because, that exact same thing happened during the Roman Empire. They actually had a that listed all of the business at the time and said, this is the wages you can You have to pay your workers. This is the price that you have to sell the product at. And that's where FDR and the professors got the information was, hey, they did it in the Roman times and we do it here. Right? This made things worse. And Nixon did the same thing in the early 70s when he had a 90-day freeze on wages and prices. And they said, well, we're only going to do it for 90 days, all the inflation
Right.
prices, but they did it for a little bit longer. And it
Right.
didn't solve the problem. We have not learned from it. And that's one thing that they ought to be teaching in school is how the Roman Empire fell, because we're following the exact same route. Everything that happened during the Roman days, we're following the exact same
Price and wage controls is what are two of the main factors that collapsed Venezuela.
Yep, and still is, and to make it worse, it's going to get a lot worse.
Absolutely.
And that's probably what's going to happen here. I hope Trump doesn't, but he did at the beginning have some great economic advisors. Kudlow's still there. We'll talk about it, but if they try to do a wage freeze or a price freeze, it's really going to screw things up. Especially now that the Fed's getting ready to meet, and here we'll know in a few weeks once they rise the interest rate again.
Right.
There goes the market. There everything goes. We're so far in debt that there's no way you're going to pay anything off. I would advise nobody. And again, we're not financial advisors. Don't take our advice. We don't want to get in trouble with YouTube and the government. We do not give advice. But I would suggest not buying anything that would put you in debt right now, because once you go into debt right now, and all of a sudden they raise the interest rates, what's going to happen to that debt? It's just going to get worse.
Well, what happened in 2007 and 08? Everybody had adjustable rate mortgages, and they started raising the interest rates.
Yep.
And that's happening again.
And the banks took their property back and resold it. The banks have resold property 2 or 3 times. The banks are making out, and they're just stealing our money. And that's another reason why 2019 might be a great year for crypto. So let's go into crypto real quick. We're running out of time. And I think crypto 2019, it might take, a few months. It might be near the end of 2019, but I think cryptos might be something to put a little bit of money in, safeguard in case the government closed banks down for a couple of weeks. If the government says, hey, we have to close the banks because of an economic tsunami coming, how are you going to buy stuff? You're not going to be able to buy it with, dollars, unless you have, some dollars hidden away. You might be able to get away with that unless you have some jewelry or something. But with Bitcoin and other digital coins, which will make a comeback, 2019 might be a good year. Few months, but what's the latest price on Bitcoin? You got it on there right now?
Absolutely. Right now, all right, Bitcoin is up right at 4,000. It was 3,995. It's up 4% tonight. Litecoin is at $30.96, basically $31. So they're all up anywhere from 5 to 6%. All the major tokens and coins.
And again, all the big bankers saying that this is a big scam. Get out of it. What they don't realize is back in 2013, Bitcoin did the exact same thing. It dropped 80% in value in 2013. It wasn't worth a whole lot, but it lost 80% of its value in 2013. And here we are now, dropping again, a good 80% or so. We'll say it's the end of Bitcoin. But back in 2013, when it lost that value, everybody said Bitcoin's dead. You'll never see it, do anything. And what did it do? All of a sudden, it shot up in price, and I have a feeling that's going to happen next year. So
The first time it ran up, I think it was 2012 or 2013. It went from $3 to $300,
yep,
and then back down to about $5 or $6.
yep.
The next time it ran up from $10 or $15 to $1,300, and then it dropped down to about where you were buying it at about $300.
That's when I got into it.
And so when I started getting into it in the last part of 2016, it was like $800. In the first part of 2017, it was about $1,200. By the end of 2017, it went from $1,200 up to $19,000, and now we're back down to about $3,000.
Yeah, so it's a normal correction.
It's just a normal market correction for cryptocurrency.
Yeah, and again, it's new technology, just like the internet was, and everybody remembers. Well, the millennials don't, but a lot of people our age remember the tech boom of the 1990s. Everybody had a .com, and everything was doing fine, and all of a sudden it just dropped out. And now look at the internet. Everything is wired. Televisions are wired. Refrigerators are wired. Dishwashers are wired. Pretty soon, dishwasher and washing machine and your refrigerators, they're going to order so bad because they'll order bad. They'll order it for you.
Right.
Everything is connected to the internet, and we were told by this great economist, Paul Krugman, which I just hate this guy. This guy, I don't know how he got a Nobel Prize for economics, but he is probably the most ignorant economist I've ever read. He is so inconsistent.
He's right up there.
Yeah, and he told us back, when the internet first started that, it's a phase. Nobody's ever going to use the internet. It's worthless. Don't worry about it.
It's like a tulip bubble.
Yeah, and now look at it. Doing a show on the internet. Everybody's connected to it. Everybody's walking around with.
You talk about your refrigerators. You can take your phone.
Yeah.
And with the app on your phone, it'll turn the light on, and you can look in your refrigerator and see if you've got enough milk.
Yeah. Yeah. So it turned out to be a really big thing. So don't trust all the economic professors out there. Again, don't trust us. Do your own research. There's plenty ways to get your information. Don't use Google. I just read an article. Google now, they have this Alexa and all these other things that listen to you. And, you can play your music or whatever. But they're now using facial recognition, and not only that, they can tell if there's humans in the room. They can tell what human is in the room. They're pretty much, I'm not going to sign on you, but they've gotten so big that I don't trust Google anymore. And I use a search engine called DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo is a great engine. They don't do any tracking of anything you search. I'm sure the NSA probably doesn't have the ability to follow you on DuckDuckGo because not many people use it. But
they might follow you on it, but there's not a database like there is with Google.
Yes.
Google collects a database, and the NSA sits there with a cup of coffee and goes through the database.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do your own research. Again, don't trust us. We just like doing the show because we like to yak, and we'll yak about all kinds of things. And I can't wait to get to the conspiracy show where we find out really is going on in this world. But we also
the aliens down in Antarctica or something.
Yeah, inside the Earth. Who knows? That mothership.
There's a big deal about Antarctica. Oh yeah, I could spend several episodes of stuff in Antarctica.
Okay, well then that's going to be a future show, And again, you're listening to Gale Force. You can find us on Facebook under It Matters, because right now it matters. I would get a little bit of Bitcoin. And you can find us on Gale Force Creation under YouTube, and Gale Force on BitTube, which is giving YouTube a run for the money. So check that out. And BitChute, I was just looking at that today. That's another website that does videos that's on blockchain, which
Great.
is uncensored, like Facebook. You know, Facebook, they censor pretty much everything. So,
Yes.
you know, we hope everybody enjoy what we try to talk about. We're going to talk about everything: current events, cryptocurrencies, conspiracy theories, what we had for dinner the other night. You know, we'll talk about everything. Phil and we have a great time yakking back and forth, and we enjoyed the show. And we'll do another one tomorrow night. And hopefully by then, I'll do a little bit of research if I can get some time, if I wake up early enough, which I have, because I'll get my kid to school, and do another show. And we'll try to do a show a day, because it gives us something to do. Plus, you know, we got to use this internet that Paul Krugman said would, you know, amount to anything. At least we put it together.
Well, we want to thank Al Gore for creating it.
That too. And plus, with our lovely faces, who knows, we might get a sometime, because we definitely have the face for radio.
Oh, yeah.
We hope everybody enjoyed the show, and we'll do it again tomorrow night. Again, check us out on Facebook under Every Bit Matters. Check us out under YouTube under Gale Force Creations, and check us out on the new platform BitTube, Gale Force. I'm JD, also known as Dwayne. This is Gale, and we hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again tomorrow night.
All righty.
All right. And in the meantime, do some research, find some more good stories.
Oh, I'll do that for sure.
And we'll see what comes up. So everybody have a good evening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow night. Good?
All righty.
All right.